Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi joins me live right now. A short while ago, Mr. Singhvi, you held a press conference. My first question, sir. The Congress party, including you, have raised strong reservations on how the Surat court handled the entire conviction and the sentencing. Are the same reservations held in the way he got disqualified by the Parliament and the Speaker?
Well, I don't think the same applies there because it is consequential. I'm not saying that they're obliged to give time. I think the consequence follows. But certainly in a normal case of good governance, fairness, you know that filing an appeal takes time. It takes a day or two. It takes you time to consult, translate, consult your lawyers. They go there, they file, the court lists. Certainly they could have stayed their hands for 2 or 3 days before the disqualification was issued. But we are not bothered. Rahul Gandhi is not allowed to speak in Parliament anyway. If he's not allowed to speak for 3, 4 more days, it doesn't matter. We are confident of getting a stay of conviction in the near future. But I am just highlighting the absolutely malicious approach of the authorities. That while a person is exercising his remedial rights, you can't wait for 24 hours. But I want to now go, if you permit me, to a larger political question. There is a legal issue, 2 or 3 legal issues, which I will tell you in a second. But please don't forget the larger political perspective. Rahul Gandhi has been speaking fearlessly. He's paying the price for it. This government has been assaulting freedom of speech and even freedom after speech by intimidatory tactics, by a chilling effect. He goes abroad, they make complete excuses of fake nationalism on pretended nationalism grounds and say, unless you apologize, you can't come back and speak. Unless you apologize, you won't right to enter Parliament and speak. He speaks in Parliament on 7th of February in particular, and they refer to privileges. They expunge his remarks. He comes out, and today, now, last few days, of an extraordinary intervention by the ruling party, who says, unless he apologizes, we, the ruling party, will disrupt Parliament and not allow him to speak. The ruling party disrupting Parliament for the last several decades, I have not seen. Okay. Now, given this background, you must see 3 aspects of the legal aspect. Number 1, look at some dates. No wonder that everybody is disturbed. Look at the selectivity and opportunism of the complainant. Look at the legal process, the sequence, how the story unfolds. 5 dates are important. It is filed in April 19. In June 21, Rahul Gandhi goes physically to Surat court. In March 22, the complainant inexplicably, but I would say understandably, seeks a stay from the High Court of his own complaint. He goes to the High Court and says, my own complaint proceeding should be stayed and not go on because of some technical ground. From March 22 to February 23 this year, everything is hunky-dory, he's quiet, he does nothing. The matter is pending in the trial court. Meanwhile, the earlier magistrate has changed in 2022 itself.
Okay.
On February 7th, Rahul Gandhi gives the speech in Parliament. On 16th February, 9 days later, the complainant goes to the High Court and says, I withdraw my stay, let the proceedings below go on. He withdraws his stay, the High Court allows withdrawal of his own stay. The proceedings go on, they resume as late as 27th February 23 after 1 year's gap. And lo and behold, everything is over by a judgment yesterday, 23rd March. All done, dusted and over in less than a month. The magistrate does not do any inquiry on section 202. It's a Karnataka Kolar event which is prosecuted in Surat. He is obliged to do an inquiry about jurisdiction within his fold. Under 202, he doesn't do it.
Okay.
He goes along and imposes the maximum punishment in a 15-minute sentencing hearing. For a first-time offender, the final maximum punishment. So obviously there are disturbing features.
But Dr. Singhvi, you clearly say that the progression of the case was suspect. But the question I want to ask you is, the progression of disqualification was to happen, it possibly happened in less than 24 hours, that's separate. But I want to ask you a question which stems from your own party colleague, which is Manish Tiwari, where he says that disqualification cannot take place through the speaker. It had to come through the president.
Yes, there is a separate debate out there. The Supreme Court, the EC stand is then it must happen automatically. I said so in the press conference. You heard my point about Article 103. I took that point in detail in the press conference. One view, there are two views about it. The Election Commission view, which is recorded in a judgment of the Supreme Court called Lok Prahari, is that no presidential reference is required because this is a court conviction. The contrary view is that Article 103 of the Constitution cannot be affected, diluted or modified by a mere practice of the EC. So that is also one of the points. I took that in the press conference in detail.
Mr. Singhvi, I'll ask you two final questions. There's a point which is being raised by the BJP. They just held a press conference, and that practically says, why didn't Rahul Gandhi just apologize? If he had hurt a particular community, or if a particular community stood at the back of what he said, deeply hurt, then apologize. This would have never come to pass.
Rahul Gandhi is fearless. He had no intention to maliciously act. There is no crime. These are intimidatory tactics. His speech was on unemployment, scams, price rise. In the course of that, talking of scams, he made a statement about 3 actual individuals. He named them. None of them are complainants. It's a pretended, expanded complaint by people of that community, unimagined insults which were never intended. So why should he apologize?
Mr. Singhvi, I would reckon your party now stands at the cusp of possibly what went down in 2006, but you are a pale shade of the Congress then, when Sonia Gandhi had to quit under the office of prophet. She bounced back. But you do reckon that that's the moment of reckoning for you, politically and legally?
There is no moment of reckoning. The moment of reckoning is obviously around the corner for this ruling party, which is why they are scared, running around. They are frustrated. They are doing these actions to throttle free speech. That reckoning is nowhere near us. It is reckoning on the government, which is why Vinash Kale is operating.
My final question, Mr. Singhvi, do you see the opposition now finally coming together? Till yesterday we'd heard strong criticism from Mamata Banerjee where Rahul Gandhi was concerned. She practically called him BJP's TRP getter. We see a change in stance. Do you see what has transpired over the last 24 hours now?
Why are you talking of one person? Why are you talking of one party? Today, I got a matter listed in the Supreme Court, which is a coalition of 14 parties on issues of agencies. 14 parties. Yes, there will be 1 or 2 people who may not agree for the time being, but they are all ultimately against the BJP. I don't think the TMC or its leader is in any manner in a divisive mode. There are differences. She is entitled to differences, but the mode is not antithetical or divisive.
Mr. Singhvi, do you think that what has transpired with the disqualification could actually spark a bigger, opposition axis forming, where opposition unity comes into question?
No, I don't. I think opposition unity is there in a large measure. We have to iron out differences and we have to move towards a synergical approach. No doubt there are differences and coordination is a high degree is required, but basic convergence of views is there. Basic awareness that you need to converge is there. Basic convergence to being aware that vote division has to be prevented is already there.